this morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our DMOpro Zoom. This is Stacy Turner. Hope you all had a great weekend. We just finished spring break and the girls and I got away for a couple days. We were just talking about how nice it is to have a type of business where we really can, just shut down for, a couple days and just get away. And as long as you kind of get your work done ahead of time, it's just nice to have that possibility. So it was just good time with us. This is our youngest. She's graduating. And so kind of our last spring break, I was thinking, and we went to a pottery painting place. I don't know if you guys have ever done that before, but it was really fun. And I painted a little bowl with some avocados on it. So we'll see how it turns out, a little guacamole bowl. But it was just fun. If you've never done that, it's a great thing to do on vacation. It's just nice and relaxing. Just the girls and I had fun with that. I don't think my husband would have loved it as much. So he was at the bookstore, which is his happy place. But we had a great time. Okay. So last week we talked about, I don't even remember exactly what we talked about, but I said this week we were going to talk about new team member startup. I think we talked about how to share the business last week, right? So kind of the follow-up would make sense today of how do we start up a new team member? What is the system? And I know that every team has a different system. I do understand that. And that's why I love having all of you guys on here, because we're going to get some good feedback of what works, what videos you guys are sharing, what are your next steps. Every company has a different startup, even for their team. And but if there's not a system, if we don't have a system, we will talk ourselves out of even sharing the opportunity at all, because we don't want to do it wrong, or we don't know what a step is. And so we'll doubt ourselves and we'll just stay quiet. And if we stay quiet and we don't share and we don't build a team, this business, it doesn't work. Like the way it's designed is to have a team of people doing this with you. It makes it much faster. It's so much more fun. You're going to grow more if you have a team. And when people tell me that they're stuck, if I really dig in with them, it doesn't take too long, because a couple questions in and I realized they haven't had a new team member direct to them in months or even in years. And so if we're just relying on the very few people that we started out with to get us moving and get us going, we're just going to stay stuck. It just is the way it is. The team members that got you to the place you are not the ones that will take you to the next promotion. Have you ever heard that before? So the team members that you got underneath you that helped you get to sales coordinator, let's just say, are not the same team members that are going to help you get to senior sales coordinator. For one, you're going to need a broader team. You're going to need points, right? So you've got to have the right amount of points, but then you also need the structure. And so you're just going to need more overall anyway for volume as well. But some of those first ones may have decided they don't really want to do this as a business and they're happy just making a couple hundred a month. And the most dangerous thing I think we can get in the mindset with team is that it is our team's job to build our team or to build our paycheck, or that somehow it's dependent upon them. And I've heard people say this often, if my team would just work, if I could just find good team that wanted to work, then I could do this business. And again, when I drill it down with them, they're not working. They're not doing their own events. They're not even inviting to the events that are going on with their team. They're not showing up for conference. Like, they're really not doing the business, but yet they're expecting somehow two team members that they got 3 years ago are going to carry them forward. It's just not going to happen. There's going to be, if you've got that mindset and you're thinking that about your team, they're going to feel it. What we need is just an appreciation. Everyone counts. Everyone counts, whether they're just counting into your volume or they're helping with your structure. Everyone's points matter, and a heart of gratitude towards them goes a whole lot further than a mindset of expectation. And so with that in mind, if we're not bringing on new team members, question why. What is it? And sometimes that would be people just don't know what to do. They're not confident. And I wouldn't even know what to do with a team member if I got them, right? And maybe you have said that, or you've had teams say that. And that's typically because there's not a system in place. Remember, systems are duplicatable where a person is not. So you can't duplicate somebody's personality, right? Like if you're thinking, well, she's way more outgoing with me than I am, that's why she has a team. Or I don't know, we could come up with, she lives in a different place than I do. People in her town are more open. I don't know, we can come up with a lot of things. But if there's not a system, or if there is a system is duplicatable. You can follow that process. And so, like I said, I know every team has a little bit different of a process, but I think some of the basics are going to be the same. So I just typed out this morning, was brainstorming, and I came up with 3 different sort of categories that we're going to focus on. So helping them to understand, helping a new person to discover, and then how do we support them? Okay, so within those 3 areas, let's talk about the first one of understanding. They need to understand the basics of what the product is, right? Enough to where they're ordering multiple products, or they have a desire to order multiple products. If somebody says, well, I don't really feel like Juice Plus is a good fit for me, or your product is a good fit for me, but I do want to do this business, I'll just sell it. I've had people say that. I'm like, it's not going to work. You can't sell a product that you're not personally taking yourself, right? So if somebody is just ordering the very basics, let's just say the fruit and vegetable capsules, maybe that's really all they can afford, and their desire to do the business is to build some income to where they can afford to add the berries and the omegas and the shakes. Okay, I can understand that. They at least have a desire to have more than one product. But if they're just the very basics, like, I'll just order this, so at least I'm saying I'm on the product, and then I'll just sell it to other people, that's not going to work. And the more products they're on, the more the broad spectrum of that nutrition that we offer. The omegas have a different role than the complete smoothie mix than the capsules do, right? Like they have different aspects that they work in our bodies. When you flood your body with that many plants, you're going to see a difference faster. And when that experience is strong, then it's easier to share your excitement about that and the changes that you're seeing, and that's going to fuel them talking to other people. If they're just on one product, they may not have that same excitement. However, I started with just the fruit and vegetable capsules. I didn't really see the need for shakes. I didn't make smoothies. I didn't know what I didn't know. At that point, we didn't really ever order the fruits and the vegetables and the berries. Like people just led with the duo. There wasn't the omegas, like that just wasn't an option. So I started with the fruit and vegetable capsules and as a team member. But I think the difference was right away, I was talking about people I wanted to share this with. I said, my mom, my dad, I have a couple of friends, like my sister needs this. I was already thinking a little bit bigger. So that means I had a broad enough understanding, and it was still very basic though. I had like a basic understanding, but a vision broad enough to know that this was something I wanted to talk to other people about. Other people in my life needed this as well. And so that's kind of one clue, like this person should definitely be a team member, but you want to encourage them to order what they can afford or what they really desire. And if they have more than one person in their family ordering, that's going to help as well, because their products, they get points for those, right? They get volume, and for their team from their customers, which would be like their spouse or their mother or whatever, that's going to help aid them into getting their promotion. Let me turn this little fan off. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so a basic understanding of what the product is. They don't have to be able to answer all of the questions about Juice Plus, but they need to know it's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, the basics of understanding. Whatever product you're selling, obviously, you need to know some basics of it or have access to information to learn more. And that's going to come. Sometimes you'll have team members like, they want to learn all of the things before they ever talk to someone. That's not going to work either. Just reiterate to them, you don't need to have all of the answers. We're just going to start with these basics. You're going to learn as we go along. And that's the great thing about our company, is you earn while you learn. You don't have to be the expert. You've heard of, excitement versus knowledge. You can have all of the knowledge and want to gather all of the knowledge, but it keeps your excitement low at times, or you'll overshare. That person will want to share everything that they are learning, and they'll just bombard the new person that they're talking to with too much information. And then the excitement is lost because they just tune out and they're like, I don't even know what she's talking about. So that was definitely something with me. The more I learned, I was like, oh, you got to know this. But there was excitement in that I could at least get somebody interested. So do they have the basic understanding of the product? And then the second understanding would be the basic understanding of how the compensation works. We're not talking like all of the details. Guys, hardly any of us know all of the details of how the compensation plan works. Like, you don't need to know all of those, but some understanding. They need to have watched some video that kind of gives them. I love Julie Mule's 6-minute Muse. I love her 6-minute video. I use that one a lot. And then I use the sticky note sheet. I don't know if you guys have used that before, but that gives a basic understanding of how do you get to Partner Plus, how do you get to QSC, and then you would just duplicate that twice with two of your team members to get to sales coordinator. So I can go over the very basics of that, and I'll share the videos with you guys. It's a 6-minute video. I have shared them before, and I'll give you guys the sticky note sheet as well. But that's like just the basics, because if they don't understand, how you get products, points for products, that helps them of understanding, okay, this is how many trios you need to get to the first commission level. This is like what our goal, this is what we're aiming for, right? So just a basic understanding of it. And you're probably going to show it to them and they're like, okay, it doesn't mean they understand it, but that you've presented something to them that they sort of know, at least this is my first and my next step. And then you're going to refer back to that. So I'm a visual person. That's why I made that sticky note sheet, because I wanted something we could write on. It was shared at conference that somebody like years ago would put a poster board and they would put sticky note sheets on it, and then they would write the customers' names. And so that was the concept. And then I just put it into a sheet, and it has the product points on there and the basic understanding of how to get to those commission levels. So that's an easy one to be able to just get the basic understanding. Okay, so that's our first two things: basic understanding of the product, basic understanding of the compensation or marketing plan. Next, we're going to go to discover. So this is really where the big picture possibilities can come to life for them, because they don't know what's possible until we share that with them. That doesn't mean we take them through the marketing plan to NMD and we show them all of the steps to NMD. Now, you may have somebody that wants to see that. You could show the staircase to them and share the possibilities, but really what's great is to bring in your sponsor to do that with you. So that gives third-party validation to what you're saying, and it shows them that there's a team of people that are going to be working with them, right? That they're not alone, and they get to hear the vision and the possibilities from someone who's been in the business longer. It's just going to build their belief even more in what you're sharing with them. And what the goal of that would be is to connect that what you've discovered is the need that they have, right? So when we're talking to people about the product, we're taking it back to what is the need that they have health-wise, and this could be a possible solution to them. Sort of on the business side, you're doing the same thing. What need have they shared that they have? They need more income to put their kids in private school. They need income to be able to pay their car payment. They want to be able to stay home with their kids. They're retiring and they're just looking for something else to do. They're sort of getting bored just being at home. They just got divorced. Like, I don't know, what is the need that they have? And everyone does have a need, whether it's, a desire for community. What you're wanting to do is give your sponsor sort of a heads up on that. What is the need that they said? That way, when you get on the phone or a Zoom with your sponsor as a three-way connection, they're able to connect that possibility with the need that's already been shared. So again, it's really not that different, right? than how we start up a customer or how we share Juice Plus as the product. When we're sharing the business or starting up a new person, it's a lot the same. There's a lot of similarities. So I just want you to find some comfort in that. Like if you're good at one, you can be good at the other. So be careful of that limiting belief that might be floating through your head of, well, I don't know what to do. I think you do know what to do. Maybe you just haven't identified how close they are. So the second would be discover together, who are they going to talk to? So if you say like, go talk to your friends and family, that's going to freak them out. And it's probably going to like, they might put their heels in, or they could be thinking of a lot of people already. Yeah, I want to share this with. So I like to use the word like, who can we help together? Who in your life needs this nutrition? Who's looking for the answer that you've just found? Who can we help together? And then start making a list of who that is. And probably in conversation, they've already shared that with. So you might just go back to, you mentioned your mom, your sister, you had talked about a neighbor, so as you're talking to them at the beginning, you're kind of gathering that information. Maybe write those names down as you're having discovery calls with them and just in connections till you get to this point. They've given you clues along the way of why they would want to do this and who they will share with. Bring that back to them. Now, a lot of times people will say, I don't know who to share with. I don't have anyone I can share with. Everyone I know, like, they'll come up with like, I don't really have friends, or whatever. If that's true, if they really have no friends, it is going to be hard for them to share with people. But is that really true? Like they have no friends, they have no family, they have no neighbors. They really just live on an island and they've lived there deserted by themselves for 10 years. It's probably going to be hard for them to share, but I've really never met anyone that way. Like they do know people. There's a list on their phone of people that are in their life. Who's in their contacts? Who do they live next to? Like you're going to help them discover that. And you're going to take that list from maybe 3 people to at least 10 to start with, but can they do 20? Can they list 30 people? If I were to say, okay, list 30 people, they might panic and like, I don't know, 30 people, work 10 at a time and then keep adding 10 more. I know Kurt Beavers, they were told to make a list of 300 people when they first started and they did it. They took the business serious. They were really thinking this is a business. If someone is super business minded, they're probably going to be much easier for them to make a list. So press them, challenge them. If they are super business minded, give them, an even bigger challenge to get more people on that list. Okay, let's start with the list of 50. And they're like, game on, I'll bring you 50 names. You just kind of gauge that person and then you support them along the way. And that's what the next one is support. So they really need to know that you're there to support them and you're going to do this with them. And they're going to learn as they go, but you're going to walk through them. And I always like to bring up the fact that the company pays a sponsor bonus now for Partner Plus and QSC. Why? Why do they do that? They know it's going to take your time to really invest with them, and they're compensating you for the extra time it takes to get a new team member started up. It's just the way it is. And sometimes people would say, well, I'll just keep them as a customer. It's easier than as a team member. I'm going to have to do all this work with them. If I just keep them as a customer, then they just take their Juice Plus and they're happy. If I sign them up as a partner, then I think they're going to do something, then they might disappoint me and it'll just be easy. So, think small, play small, stay small. And just the opposite, think bigger, do bigger, play bigger, you're going to grow bigger. So what is it that you want? If you really want to grow, you're going to have to get a team, and you want a team. Really, that is where it's more fun anyway. So we're going to support them by equipping them with 2 basic videos. There's no need to send them all of the videos. And honestly, I'm not even really talking boards with somebody at this point until maybe QSC, or if they're really into learning and they've got lots of questions, and then you're like, oh, hey, let me show you this option because you can get a lot out of this. You can learn more if they're like listening to every audio that you're sending them, and they're wanting to watch every video, and they're coming back with specific questions, then you know, okay, go ahead. But if you have somebody that gets trapped in details, why would I give them boards? They're going to think they have to know everything, and then they're going to shut down because it's too much. How could I possibly know all this, right? So you got to gauge the person. Everyone's different. Every personality is different. But I have 2 videos that I share with everyone, and I'll give those to you guys again. They get the same 2 videos. Like, I'm not searching for the perfect video for everyone. And I want to teach that team member the same thing. You don't have to know everything. These 2 videos really work. And I get customers just from this. And then I can always go deeper with more detail if they need something specific. And then the other part of supporting them is doing, let's put 2 events on the calendar, 2 or 3 events. This they're probably going to be a little bit more hesitant about, because if they think they have to present at the event, or like, you know, what does that look like? Here's what I say. You're going to start conversations. You're going to send videos. You've got like feelers out there. You've got people interested. Now we're going to bring them together. And then I'm going to help you answer their questions at this event. We're going to build their belief at this event. It's going to really help move them forward. And then that's often where we get those orders that come in from those conversations that are out there. If they delay in doing this event for too long, what you find is a lot of conversations are out there, but nothing really ever happens with them. Some people, though, are able to bring in orders and get orders themselves without your help. Okay, like really, they have high rapport with their people they're talking to. They just walk in with a different skill set. I was not one of those. I talked with a lot of people, and I had given out a cassette tape to a lot of people, but I wasn't getting results. And I remember telling Sharon, like, I'm talking to these people and they're interested and they're listening to it. But then I didn't have the skill set to like bring it back to helping them order. So I was like, I'm not doing this right somehow. And so Sharon had said again, all right, let's do an event. Like, that's what I've been saying. And so I was like, all right, let's do an event. So we did an event, and then all of those conversations came together, and then we started getting orders, and I got to QSC within that 2-month window. And so that really is what I find. The conversations have to be out there, and then you bring them in. If it can't be at an event, then that's where one-on-one would work. Like if they can't come to the group event, or a 3-way conversation works really well. So I will say I had a team member get to QSC in 7 days one time. She was the fastest one that's ever done it. What she did, her name is Stephanie, what she did is she would bring people to me. So she would say, Stacy, can you meet at the coffee shop at 3 o'clock, or at 3:30, right after school Thursday? Yes. So I would get there. There would be like 2 or 3 people at the table. I would present to them. She was learning as I was sharing with them. She was listening. And then as we did that over the next couple of days, like it was just constant. She would say, Stacy, can you come to the school during the lunch hour? I've got 3 teachers that are interested. I'm not kidding. And I was like, okay. So she got me in. I was in the cafeteria. She would bring teachers up to me, and she would say, okay, I'm going to watch your class. You talk to Stacy. It was like, I've never done this before, but okay. I just went with it. And so I was like, hi, tell me what you're thinking. They're like, oh, I've already watched the video. It does make sense, but I had a question about this. And so then, it was like 8-minute conversations, if that. And then she'd come back, okay, you need to go back to your class. And then she'd bring me another. I was like, I didn't know that this was a thing or even legal in the school, but let's go for it. Like, we'll get in trouble later. We'll ask for, apologize later, but let's go. And we didn't. And it was great. We had conversations and it was just quick. She just brought them to me. She knocked on the door one night at like 7:30 at night. And I opened it and she's like, this is my friend Tanya. Can you share Juice Plus with her? And I was like, yes, come in. It was the funniest thing. And that night, I had told my son, like, we were busy. I was like, Colin, go get something for dinner. And he went and got Kentucky Fried Chicken, which was just hilarious that there's like fried chicken on the countertop. And I was like, we don't usually eat like this. I was like, all, apologizing. And she was like, well, we own a barbecue shop. And I was like, okay, good. You're fine. No worries. Let's move forward. But she was a master at just bringing people to me, and she got those orders in fast. So the faster your people can bring them to you, all along, she's listening to me talk and present. She learned it really quick. And she was able to then do part of it the next time. And she would interject and I would be like, exactly. And she was like, what would Stacy say? How would she answer this? And she learned that conversation as we went along, because it was repetitive so often. She had it down. And then after that, she was able to get her own customers on her own without as much support from me. And I was brought in more to help getting new team members. So that's what a beauty of an event can do, or a three-way conversation. And in that is like really where you discover those bigger possibilities for them. And then the last part of support I said was getting them on Voxer, because in Voxer is where they know it's kind of like carrying you around in their pocket. If they've got questions, immediately they can get those questions answered without a long time of trying to get schedules together to get on a phone call, especially if you're helping a newer team member with their team member. So answering those questions, and a lot of next step thinking happens in that. That's where you as a sponsor are next stepping them. So what I mean by that is going back through the conversations. Okay, you mentioned your neighbor. And did you ever share a video with her? Have you invited her to an event? You did share the video. Okay, great. Have you followed up with her? What did she think of it? Could she come to this event? Could your sister come to this one? What happened with the conversation with your college roommate? How is that going? Maybe this would be a next great step for her, another video to watch. Or can she come to this event that we're going to do? She's not able to come to those events. Can we do a three-way conversation, just us together? Your neighbor, you've got a couple that have little ones. What if we did a coffee at your house and we made muffins and smoothies and we invite them all over with the kids and kind of do a play date and just do a casual presentation with them? Like, you're thinking of possibilities of how do you meet the needs of the people that they're talking to, right? What is the next step for that person? And you should know that process from getting customers yourself. So then you're teaching them that process. Oh, I sent them a video, but I never messaged them afterwards. I sent them a video and I followed up, but I really don't know how to get them to order. Okay, so you stepping in at that point in a three-way conversation just to meet them, to answer questions that they have, or to get them to an event, that's where you help. So that's what I find Voxer really helpful for, is next step thinking with those people that they are talking to. And then you're keeping them in action and activity so that they don't get stuck in details or just the dreaded, I'm not enough, I can't do this. Now, one thing I do want you to keep in mind, a new person can only take about 3 negative hits before they're going to be like, and if you see them really push back or like pull back, dig in with them. What are 3 things that have happened? And usually it's 3 comments, or maybe they posted on social media and somebody was super negative and it just really hurt their feelings. And then maybe, somebody in their family was like, what are you doing? Are you a part of one of those company? That was the second hit. And the third one is their best friend said, no, I don't want to order Juice Plus or, order their product. That was 3 hits. They're probably going to pull back. They're going to need some extra love and support and encouragement. You're going to help them find a win quickly to see that people are interested in this. People do want to hear what you say. If they get a series of negativity or no's and they're not getting any wins or yeses, it's difficult to move forward, right? Like, they're going to need some help and some love with that. And then sometimes there's nothing that you can do that will help that. I have a situation now with one team member, like, she was so excited, and I can't tell you exactly what happened, except for there was a series of no's, and then she was super hesitant to start sharing with anyone else. And so the way she was sharing was just super shallow, and not really following the process of getting them the videos and doing an event. And she's never gotten a team member. And I even got a call from her. She's like, yeah, I'm just going to cancel my Juice Plus. I talked her off the ledge and she didn't cancel, and kind of brought her back around. Like, but in the end, when it really drilled down to it, she was so afraid that she was letting me down, and she was disappointed. She didn't want to disappoint me. And she felt like it would be better if I just wasn't a part of this than to keep getting the no's. And man, I felt for her. Like, that is a hard thing, but I let her know her story was valuable and that she was valuable to our team, and that I wanted her to come, and that, you know, she had a place with us, that it didn't matter how much she was doing. And that belief is going to build over time. And who knows, 6 months from now, she shares in a more confident way, she may get some team members, or the more she comes to our events and her belief is built. But that's where your support as the sponsor really comes in. And it's a lot of times reading people, like, what do they need? If you're new at this, or you're not really great at that, then that's where your sponsor is. And they're getting paid to help you. 5 people above you are getting paid. Tap into that. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for support. Okay, so that was kind of my description of the 3 things and the tools that I use. Let's go back on the understand side, and I want to hear from you guys. So that's the basic understanding of what Juice Plus is and the basics of the compensation plan. Do you use a different tool or a different system to be able to interject that basic belief into your newer team members? What are you guys doing? And you'll have to unmute yourself.
Stacy, I think it's really important to point them to the hub also, so they know if they can't get a hold of us or upline, that they can get a little bit more of the understanding of the product and the business too.
So what tools on the hub do you use, Patty, or refer them to?
I go to the hub, and then I go to resources, and I think there's a getting started. But I also, I mean, I'm so glad that you brought it up, that not everything is for everybody. You know, boards, you know, we're so excited about boards, but it can be overwhelming. So, you know, I think you just have to pick and choose individually who you're going to point to what. But as long as they know the resources that are there, if they can't get a hold of you, at least they know somewhere they can go.
Yeah, that's great. And have any of you guys made a page on boards? That's what I'm doing. Instead of sending them the whole board, I have a page for a new startup that I would like. I have a page for somebody who's just interested and wanting to learn more. And then once they sign up as a partner, they get a second page, and then they would get a third page to QSC. So it's like 3 different one, all of this that we've talked about, but broken into smaller pieces so that they're getting little chunks of that. And then often I'm like, yeah, it's on that link I shared you on boards. And they're like, what? Like, they didn't even click on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, let me walk you back through it. And so then we go through it together. So don't assume just because you've sent it that they've opened it, read it, watched the videos. Like, that's your support of next step thinking, is like making sure that they're kind of tapping into those things. And then sometimes they're like, oh yeah, I already listened to that one and this one and that one and that one, and I've already done this and I've already made my list. And you're like, oh, well, you're 7 steps ahead of me. Excellent. Let's go with it. So, you know, everyone's going to be different, but the hub does have some great training on there. Thank you, Patty. Anyone else? So I've added hub training and pages.
I actually more use the Freedom Revolution than Hub, because I really have struggled to navigate the Hub. So that same information is on Freedom Revolution. So I guess that's how I learned. But the Hub seems very overwhelming and confusing to me. So I don't, maybe I need a little more training, but I do use the Freedom Revolution, because then you can just type in what you're looking for.
Yep, that's a great resource too. So just know which resources from whatever you're going to pull from, boards, hub, or Freedom Revolution, which are the ones that you're going to send, because that's what's going to be duplicated. You know, remember that. Anyone else? How about for the basics of the compensation plan? What do you use to share that? Do you know the basics? That's another thing. Could you draw on a napkin the basic understanding of the compensation plan? Or even, write it out on a piece of paper without all the details? Because if you don't know it enough, the basics enough to confidently share that with someone else, that is going to be something that holds you back. That's something you could practice being able to explain to someone. And again, the sticky note sheet's already there. It's just really reading through it and does this make sense? Do you understand? And then moving to the next place. Any other?
I use the sticky note system, and I think that's, for me, I'm very visual too. And for me, that's been the easiest tool for me to use. And if they seem like more detailed and they want, or they've hinted that they want more, then I bring out the stair steps. But basic, I just use the sticky notes.
Great.
I have a question, not information to share, but question. Is it possible, I'm not sure, I know that I'm not getting emails from you about different videos, things that you say, well, I'll send you a video. Can I give you my email address? Because I'd like to have more, the link to the sticky notes or the link to the boards, the sticky notes. And I have a question. I'm going back and watching the previous sessions, and if I have to pause it, it seems like when I come back, it goes back to the beginning. Do I need to just make a note? Oh, I stopped here at 15 minutes and then started again, or is that just my system that's dropping me and taking me back?
That's interesting because the videos are on YouTube, so I'm not sure why it would do that. But maybe if that is a frustration, like you said, just write down at 15 minutes when you paused it. But I don't know, I haven't heard that one. And then I don't send out emails, but we do have a Voxer group. Are you on Voxer, Myra?
Yes, I am, but I'm not on your Voxer.
Okay, find me on Voxer, Stacy Turner. I'm sure we have mutual friends, and then I'll add you into that Voxer chat. And that's where I push out information. And if you want, do you get text reminders from me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll get you in that Voxer chat that's where I send it out to you guys.
I was going to those in the DMOpro app. So I should be going to YouTube to find those?
They are YouTube videos embedded into the app. So that's why I'm surprised it should function the same as a YouTube video, because it is a YouTube video just embedded into that. So I don't know, maybe if somebody has any insight on that, type it in the chat, or once you're on Voxer, Myra, maybe I can walk you through it one-on-one.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Stacy.
Yes.
So I appreciate this because this has simplified things a lot. What we have done is on boards, we have like a step one type of getting started type thing. And the first place it goes to is like the wheel that I believe it was Shelley Mackey who put that together. And one of the things it says is to have them, of course, set up their Juice Plus website and personalize that. But then it says download boards. So then they're getting all that information. And maybe that's what's so overwhelming, like you were saying. So would it be better to change that to, download this page that then I've created?
Yeah, I would say, again, it kind of depends on the person, right? Like some people want all of that information right away, and you'll know because they're asking you questions or they're moving forward in the process on their own. Like I said, they're like, oh yeah, I already watched that and I already did this and I did this. And they're probably somebody who's going to want access to that. But yeah, I have just personally found most people don't need that much and they'll just kind of shut down with it. But everyone's different. So you could ask them, do you want all of the access that I can, send all of that or so that you can dig through it on your own, or do you want me to send you piece by piece? But
Perfect. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other tools or resources that I've missed or that you guys use with any of these, either on the discovery side or the support side?
Stacey, someone I know has been using Project Broadcast to send messages to new people. And actually, she put me in one of the campaigns and let those messages come to me. But I felt like they were a message like that as a text, of course, it's coming to you. And it seemed like you couldn't do it that way because it was too, every person is different. So if you're sending that same campaign, that like a series of 7 messages, let's say, then at some point the timing is going to be wrong, for that message. And it's going to be certainly at I guess at its worst, it's going to be canned. It's going to, it's going to be a canned message, and they're going to be aware of that. It's not really going to be connecting. Am I the only one that thinks that way?
Marcia, that makes sense to me because, like you're saying, one of those messages is going to be off timing, because what if they haven't made their list yet? And then the next, message speaks to using that list or something. So, but again, that is a process, right? That is a system within that 7 messages. That's the system. So you could take that system that's been created and then piece it together for the person on the timing that's right with them. And it may help them move forward. I haven't used Project Broadcast on that side of it with a new team member. With a customer, I think that works because you're asking them, did they get their product? Then, do they have a place that they're keeping it? When are they going to take it? Like that's pretty much the same. But yeah, on the team member side of that, I would love it if anyone else has tried that as well. Or if they have found success with that. If nothing else, it's a system that could be followed, kind of like this is the next step.
Right.
And it may be that it's sent to them, and then you go back in the conversation and you reiterate, okay, did they do number 1? Have they done step 2? Have they done step 3? And walk them through that.
Stacey, I use boards and Project Broadcast. And I think it's if us as our, the leaders are doing our jobs and making sure we touch base with everybody and let them know you're going to be getting a series of messages at any time that you feel overwhelmed or you have any questions, either reach out to me. They can reply stop. So I think it's just for those people that are building really big teams, it's making sure nobody falls through the crack, right? But I think if you make them aware that they're going to be getting that, then they have the choice. You cannot put them in that Project Broadcast feed if they choose.
Right. You wouldn't tag them in that series of messages if they felt like that was too much, or that they could come back to you and say, it's too fast, too much, too fast. But you would know that because they're not doing it, right? Like that would be the clue that it's not working for them if they're not doing the next steps. And then you would just readjust and figure out what is the problem. It's sort of a chess game too, guys. Like you can do all the right things and they still don't move. Like it could just be timing for them. It could be, a lot of mental work that's going to have to be done with them, a lot of mindset that is happening. If their life is chaotic, the business doesn't fix it. It just brings out the chaos. If they have issues with their spouse, with communication or with finances, this is just going to expose the underlying problem. If they're not able to communicate and work through things on their own, this business doesn't fix it. So, it may take a lot longer because they're going to need a lot more, mindset work and training with them. And we never really even got into, sharing on social media, but that can be a way to put the information out there. But you really need to work with them on that first post because people say, I don't want to be a salesperson, and they post on social media their first post and they're like total salesperson by saying, this is what I'm selling, here's my link. And you're like, you just did what you said you didn't want to do. So like they lose their mind because it feels passive, but to them, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. If you want a link, if you want to order, here's my link. It feels passive to them, but it doesn't come across that way to the people that are seeing their post. So that just really doesn't work well. All right, guys, we've gone over time-wise. I don't want to make this too long, but I'm going to go ahead and stop recording here.